Hello everyone and welcome to Everything's Fine, probably your weekly antidote to the creeping suspicion that society's running on a trial version that expires next Tuesday. It's been another week of wild headlines, politicians promising change, billionaires promising rockets, AI promising to serve humanity in a tone that's frankly scary. So, whether it's been a full week of spreadsheets, bad coffee or existential dread, pull up a candle, maybe a drink, and let's see what weird, kind and other corners we wander into. Shelley's with us as always this week. You all right, Shelley?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've made it. I'm alive.
You have. Unfortunately, we're a man down. There's no sign of Stu. Stu was supposed to be here. We know he's ill, so I assume he's just fallen asleep.
We just need to send out a St. Bernard with a brandy barrel, maybe.
Yeah, bless his heart. He might pop up at some point. But that's okay. We can manage because instead of Stu, we are joined by Steph Davies from Laughology, a unique ethical training and consultancy organisation built around the psychology of humour, laughter, and happiness. Welcome to the pod. Thanks for coming along, giving up some time for us tonight. How are you?
Very welcome. Yeah, I'm good. It's Tuesday. I just got reminded it was Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday. You know when you have that moment of, oh, I've added another day onto my week. But no, it's all good. It's a good week so far.
It's a hideous thing.
know
I
that.
spend a chunk of my time running my teenage daughter around, and last night she had unexpectedly did the thing she normally does on a Thursday on a Monday. So that meant that
So
last night felt
confusing.
like Thursday night, and you don't want that on a Monday.
You know, it's last Thursday I went out. See, I went out last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which is very unusual now. I'm nearer 50 than I am 40. And so it's messed up my whole week that I've been out for 3 nights on the row.
Yeah, I
That's
don't believe I could even do that.
yeah, I feel stressed hearing about.
And
Oh no.
one was a retro rave in Liverpool.
Wow.
Yeah, I impressed myself. But what was brilliant about it, it finished at 10:30. So I was back in the hotel in my gym jams by 11 o'clock, which was Spelton. It's brilliant. It's the proper
That's what
rave that I want to go
you've moved on to a different life stage. So was that whereabouts was the rave? Was it an outdoor one?
It was at Liverpool Cathedral. So you'll know this, Jim. It was a
Mm.
Cream event.
Yes.
Jim and I were just talking about Liverpool. So Cream was a massive club in Liverpool back in 2000, the 90s and 2000s. I was a big Cream fan. Used to be a dancer at Cream. They have these Cream classical nights where they'll take over a venue like the Cathedral in Liverpool, which is a beautiful cathedral. They'll have a full orchestral band, choir singers, and they'll do all the rave classics with the orchestral band and choir singers and a DJ. And it's immense. And you've just got people, eclectic mix of people who are just there to have a lovely time and have a little dance and then go home at 10:30.
That sounds really nice. It's like what they did back in Norfolk at Blickling Hall. They would do the IB for proms,
Yes.
didn't they? And yeah, I do. I remember Cream and Gate
Yeah.
Crusher and all of those
Right. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
you're speaking my language.
I went to the Gate Crusher Festival. I don't remember much of it.
So, Steph, I mean, you're going to explain this much better than I will, so I'll leave you to talk about it. Laughology. For the uninitiated, what is it and how did it all come about?
Okay, well, I'll start from the beginning, which is my kind of journey. So I didn't do very well at school. So I was suspended twice, expelled once, which is quite a high bar in Liverpool where I'm from. You have to work really hard to do that. So, I exceed expectations for being the naughty one. And back when I was at school years ago, dyslexia and ADHD weren't a thing. So I was just lazy and naughty. And it followed me around school a little bit. I'd be embarrassed if I'd have to read stuff out. So I realized quite early on, if I made people laugh, I could make the attention move away from me feeling stupid or behaving in a way that I thought was stupid. And I could win people over with the laughter. And great for me, not so great for the teachers. So that kind of snowballed into being naughty, having attention, getting detention, and eventually getting expelled. And I always say it just takes one teacher. So I had one brilliant teacher a little bit later on who was a little bit more curious, lent in, and realised that there was something else going on, but we didn't really know what it was. Got me into performing arts. That's when I got into performing arts school at Liverpool, diagnosed with dyslexia there, but also I got into stand-up, which changed my world because I wanted to learn to read and write because I was going to these venues. I wanted to be topical. And when you have a purpose and use humour, it helps you learn. So when I was doing stand-up, I took stand-up into schools to help young people like me with their reading and writing skills because I thought I never wanted anyone to go through what I went through. And I realised that when you use humour to help people learn and you mix it a little bit up, people don't even realise they're learning and the brain lights up in a different way. So when I realised I'm not sick, I just learned really differently. I went back to university, did a master's in psychology with a real keen interest with humour, how it makes the brain work, and started doing what I call laughology, which is a mixture of laughter and psychology and how it helps us think, feel, and communicate better. And the business of laughology is we work in the corporate world, we work in schools, and we do everything from a big change program where we help organizations think about how they bring their people along with complex change issues, right through to working in schools, running inset days, all with a special ingredient around it of laughter, how we help people to learn differently and engage and think differently through laughter.
Fantastic. So do you think people find it difficult to bring a sense of humour to their work and into school with them? And why is that?
I think it's getting harder. Look, and actually recently we've been asked to really talk about this, particularly with comedy changing, which it does every 10, 15 years. It evolves because we evolve as humans and we learn stuff, and the world's more diverse and quite rightly than it ever was. And we should absolutely not do comedy that was in the 60s. And there's some comedy that was in the 70s, that shouldn't be done here. And so it shifts every 10 years. Oh, well, I wish it would. Hey, there we go. We're off. And so yes, I think people are finding it a challenge, but for me, humour's the glue that holds culture together, and laughter. It's a human condition. We don't want to lose it. We just need to get it right, and we need to have really open conversations about. Look, it shouldn't be about protected characteristics. People shouldn't be at the butt of the joke. Also, when you're in work, it's a professional get up. So there's certain things that you can't say when you're in a comedy club. And that's a fine line. And so helping people to understand that is important.
So how do you feel we can bring more fun and laughter back into our lives? Because there's been a lot of bad news around. And one of the reasons we started Everything's Fine probably is because there just seemed to be so much bad news around, and we just wanted to try and spread a little bit of positivity and joy around the place and remind people that things are not always all that bad. How can we bring more of that joy into our lives, would you say?
I think look for it and make time for it. Yeah, it's known to news outlets all over the world that negativity sells.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's why we just get fed negative news. But there are positive things that go on in the world. There's lovely stories all the time. And I always talk to people about seek out your humor triggers. So the things that make you laugh, make time for that, make time for joy, because I think the world becomes so fast paced that if we don't do that, we're not actually feeding our brain, and our brain needs to be fed and exercised as much as our body does. It needs nutrition, and that comes from sleep, that comes from socializing, that comes from laughter, from joy. So we need to seek that out and make time and effort for it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's really it says a lot when people get to do stand-up comedy. Like, I mean, I've stand-up comedy, I think would be like a dream job, like to stand and make people laugh, but actually doing it's really hard, isn't it? You know, like to, because I just feel like, yeah, I can be quite funny sometimes and people find me funny, but that's kind of situational, isn't it? Oh, look, um, Judy Finnegan's turned up. um, but yeah, I can imagine if I probably then try to go and stand in front of everyone with like a written like sketch or with a written stand-up show, I bet it would really bomb. Like, how did you get round that? How did you cope with doing that?
A big bomb. You know, all comedians when they start are crap. You know, there's no comedian that starts out and they're just brilliant straight away. I think your first few gigs are false because your family and friends come and see you and they just laugh out of respect. And then you get a real audience and you die. But that's part of comedy. But you can learn humour. Look, we were born with the innate ability to laugh, but we can learn humour. And some people just have funny bones. You know, you got Morecambe and Wise. They've just got funny bones. But some people are good storytellers, and that's all comedy is. You know, when you go down the pub with your mates and you tell a story and you think, oh, that worked, and you add in a little bit of a lie, and you think that got a laugh. So next time you tell it, you tone and you exaggerate that little bit and then that almost becomes your reality. That's all comedy is. And then there's a few little rules and techniques along the way, so it's actually easier than it looks.
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
Stephanie. That was
Yeah, Stu.
just jumped in there. It's quite interesting. There was famous autobiography, David Niven, "The Moon is a Balloon," and he always said, "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story." So yeah, totally agree with that. So the more he used to tell his yarns, like you said, the more embellished they got, and obviously the funnier sides, people like you keep them in, don't you? And like
Yeah.
so it becomes like an alternative reality. So yeah, storytelling is the key, that's for sure, isn't it?
When you speak to any comedian, I don't think they know what their real life is anymore and what's fact and what's not.
No, I've had the joy of talking to Tom Baker, the
Oh yeah.
extremely eccentric actor, on a few occasions, and I don't think he has a clue now. He's told his stories and embellished his stories so many times. I'm not sure he's got any idea. And actually, when he looks back on things, he's shown things from the past. I've got no idea what any of that is. Don't remember any of that. Whole
Storytelling's so
alternative
important.
reality there. So, Steph, what's been some of your funniest experiences then at work?
Oh my goodness. So one of the ones I think back to, so it was quite early on at Laughology, and I was doing a big event with one of my team, Kerry, who was one of the first members of my team who came on board, who had done stand up with. So we had a brilliant working relationship already. And I'd I'd been mic'd up at this event and it was a break and we were staying over in the hotel. And I'd said to Kerry, let's just go back to the hotel room and use the toilets there because there's a big queue. And I've just got this thing about not using the toilets when all the audience are there as well, in case I make a silly noise. And then, you know, they come back in the room and say, oh, she farted in the toilet and we heard her. So, which is very likely at my age. I can't control it anymore.
Yeah, there's no
And
predictability.
no, absolutely. Even when I'm walking, sometimes I'm like, was that me? And so we went to my hotel room and I had my mic pack and I turned it off because I do that now. But I had my mic pack stuck to my trousers and then I pulled my trousers down. The mic pack went down the toilet because I'd forgotten to take it off. And I screamed. So Kerry ran into the bathroom like a good colleague and friend that she is and went, what's wrong? And I pulled the mic pack out by its string and went, I just dropped it in the toilet and threw it at her. And bless her, she caught it. And then I went, we done that. So she then threw it in the sink. And there was just comedy of errors. And so she threw this mic pack in the sink and ran out of the bathroom. And I ran after her with my pants down. And she just looked at me and she went, pull your pants up. And I was like, okay. And then we had to get this story right. So I went into the room and I said to the guy on the sound desk, it's like, I'm really sorry. put it on the side of the sink, washed my hands, and it fell in the sink, which is a complete lie. But I just didn't want to say I pissed on your mic pack. I'm really sorry, especially because he was quite nice. I quite fancied him, and it's not really the first date kind of thing, is it?
Not going to steal the deal, is it?
He said, don't worry, and he put a new mic on me. And then as I was walking out, I said to Kerry, I didn't tell him I pissed on the mic pack. I just told him that it dropped in the sink. Anyway, he went, Steph, and I turned around, he went, I can hear you. Because he had the pack on and everything. And I was like, all right, okay.
That's what happens when you double down, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's the comedian in you. Lies never get.
I'm sure he was charmed by that. I think that just made you adorable.
We did go on a date, but it didn't go much further. He was a bit dull. It was a bit dull.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He didn't appreciate you then.
That would be hard to move past, I don't know. So, Steph, have you got any good tips for us? How can we deal with those people who suck the happiness out of the workplace in a way that won't get us fired?
So, look, it's about recognizing that not everybody is it takes all kinds in the workplaces to make it for human beings be human. And so not everybody is always as flamboyant, colourful, fun. And so it's about, first of all, appreciating diversity. That's the corporate line. And then the other part of it is we don't have to be friends with everybody. We just have to trust that they do a good job. And if they do a good job, that's okay, how do we protect ourselves from some of those people? It's about recognizing, where do you get your energies from, and making sure if you have to have a meeting with them, that you've got your energies in the right place first, and so you're not sucked into that hole of nothingness.
Yeah, I know I'm not very good actually at pretending to not be bored.
My face is terrible.
I have really poor concentration. So when you just have those kind of emotional vampires around you, and there'll be a point and they're just like talking, and I'm just sort of like, and then we go, so what do you think, Shelley? And I'm like, yeah. When you don't know, I'm like, I'm going to do a half kind of, yeah, no. I don't really know what to say because I have no idea what just happened. I've been completely in my head.
Yeah, my husband's about to walk off.
Memorable times for that. I got sent to a meeting once by my manager, but they didn't really brief me why I was going. And it was 3 hours long. And I didn't know anyone else there. Well, I knew one guy in there vaguely, but we were a good hour and a half, 2 hours into the meeting. And I'd zoned out completely. I had no idea what they were talking about. So when somebody suddenly went, Jim, what are you thinking? I mean, I couldn't blag my way out of that. I had no idea what the conversation had been for probably about an hour. So I just said, I was just thinking it'd be really cool if I was a spy. And on the plus side, I never had to go to any more of the meetings.
Yeah, for sure.
And you also got your P45. Now you're a brilliant spy, so it's all worked out, hasn't it?
Well, am I? I wouldn't be allowed to say.
Was I allowed to say that? Was I allowed to let that out? No.
So I don't know if you've covered this, but I mean, sort of, humour and fun in the workplace. You do have to, keep it on the right side, don't you, of the HR line. So
yeah, we were talking about that before. And I think it's changing, and it always changes, and that's what keeps us busy, because people want us in to talk about some of that stuff. So long may people make mistakes around humour.
Yeah, I was just listening on. Sorry, I'm late. Actually, I was listening to the radio on the way in, and there was a production company on Radio 4. They said they'd start playing traitors in the office, and they were having to lie to each other, and they were going on air as well, and lying that they weren't a traitor and so on. I just thought, well, that, you know, looks like a whole load of trouble, doesn't it? If you start playing traitors in the workplace. So I guess you, like you said, you just got to pick your audience, haven't you? You've got to kind of know who's up for it, and you know who's going to take it in the spirit of, you know, what it's meant. So but you know that they did say it helped them bond, and they were all getting on with each other, and they thought it was a good bit of fun.
I
They
could
did it.
not
They did it.
trust that at my work. That would cause, so there would be people
Can you
crying.
imagine? I
No.
don't think you'd ever trust anyone again, would you? I'd just be like, I'd be second guessing people all the time. Or what about those people who accidentally really murder someone and go, well, I thought we were playing a game?
Yeah. I mean,
That happens a lot in your experience, Steph?
Well, maybe I've let something out there that I shouldn't.
Yeah, I thought it was part of the game. I didn't realize you weren't actually meant to kill someone.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
What's the HR policy on that?
So Steph, what would you say are the most sort of surprising or the challenging aspects of treating humour as a skill that can be learned and applied rather than the spontaneous reaction?
There's two parts to it. That sometimes, you know, we do teach, especially leaders, in storytelling, how to use humour. We always talk about this idea of protected characteristics. It shouldn't ever be about anyone. As a leader, it's really important that you recognise where you are, because power plays a big role in that. It should never be at somebody else's expense. So when we're teaching it through storytelling and using it in that way, we do wrap some rules and guidelines around it, and you do get some people who are brilliant, and then some people that just need that little bit of extra help with it. You do get those cringy moments, and then the other part of it is it just really works because we use it in the training that we do, and that might be through playful activities to bring a certain psychology to life, or a story that we tell. And because you're using humour, you're breaking down barriers to the way people are thinking about learning, because there's nothing new under the sun when you're thinking about corporate training, communication skills. It's just the way that we deliver it that's different. And we have to be careful around some of that stuff as well.
Yeah, I saw that you work with quite a lot of really big clients, actually. There was a lot of big names when I was having a look. So, I mean, I'm not expecting you to maybe necessarily like call anyone out or any businesses, but what was like your biggest challenge, would you say? Were there any scenarios that you thought, I don't know if we can, they're beyond help?
You're asking who's the funniest big business and who's not funny? Is that what you're really asking? Who's the most boring lot that you work with? Challenges are, sometimes we are brought in, and this is where we have to really stick to our values as an organisation. And companies go, we don't want you to do that, and we don't want you to do that, and please can you not be funny? And we're like, no, we can't do that, because that's our USP. And what they're actually saying is they love our ethos, but they worry about what people will think. I've never had someone complain and go, you made me laugh. I've never had that. And we're very careful as a business to know that it's not about doing a stand-up comedy routine. It's about using humour as a tool within the sessions. But I guess the challenges are when somebody's expecting something different, and you know we come along and it's not been positioned in the right way. It might be positioned that it is just going to be stand-up comedy, or it's going to be serious training. So we do a lot of work beforehand to help people to understand how we deliver, what the ways that we are. And some organizations, they're just not for us, and that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, I can imagine some places it's like we're all quite, actually some places it's like, I don't know, I'm very cynical, so I feel like they know that they need to have been shown to have tried to do something to make things better, but you know it's not necessary that they really understand why things don't work anyway. I think it depends on leadership and things, doesn't it,
Yeah.
really? So yeah.
And there's also some organizations that they're so controlling over the content that we deliver that it takes away the humorous side, because we interact with the audience, and our team are specialists in that. So it's quite a high bar, because you have to be funny and have a performance background, but you also have to have understanding of organizational development and psychology and learning. And so it's quite a high bar, and we put people through quite an intense induction program, but we're very good at it. And interacting with the room is something that we do. So we can't always say, well, this is what's going to happen, and this is what we know we'll say, because humor's not like that. You know, the best humor is about what's going on in the environment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So could you help with that? So if you took a specific technique like flip or smile, could you talk us through a practical way in which you'd apply that to change an emotional response to a negative event?
So flip's a really good one, and it's one that is one of our top tools that organizations love, because it's a really lovely, nice, neat way to think about things differently, especially around change, which is huge in organizations. Look, whenever we react to something as human beings, we react based on how we feel, and we can't get away from that. That's what human beings do, and actually that's what we should do. It's, do we react to the reaction, and that's sometimes that fight or flight. Do we then, you know, blame others, or do we argue? So flip's a lovely tool to kind of go pause in the moment, and can we flip it round? And it stands for focus, language, imagination, and pattern breaking. And I always say it's like your humor toolkit. And what I mean by that is I researched it when I was first doing stand-up comedy and my psychology masters, and I thought there's something in this, because actually as a comedian you learn to flip a situation on its head and take a step back and go, oh, I might have had an argument with my husband, but there's 10 minutes of a routine in this. So you flip it round and focus differently. So the F is for focus. Is my auto response is, how does this feel? And often we're driven by emotions to then react to a situation. And is that focus my emotional response, or can I look at it differently? And do I need to shift that emotion to be able to think differently? And that's not to say that we have good and bad emotions. All emotions are important. Frustration, anger, rage, they're all important, as happiness, as laughter, is humor. But is that emotion the right one you need to focus on to move you forward? So first of all, am I focusing on the feeling, or am I focusing on the facts, is a good question. Secondly, do I need to shift that feeling to be able to focus? So I talk very much about humor triggers, or things that make me feel better or think better in the moment. That might be a behavioral change that shifts my emotion physically, because emotions are visceral. Or it might even be, I just need to take a moment, move away and think about something different. It might even be divert my attention to something that's joyful or fun. Now, that's easier said than done when you're caught by rage. So we give people the tools and techniques to be able to pause, and in that moment recognize and let the emotion flood the body, because we can't get rid of them, but emotions last for about 60 or 90 seconds. So how do we allow that to flood the body and then shift that focus? And when we shift that focus, then we're more likely to focus on the things that we can control. L is for language. Quite often the thing that causes us to go back into that unhelpful focus is that we're using language and we're stuck in terms of that language. And I talk about comedians being brilliant linguists, so they'll change just one word to completely change the context of a situation. I always say, would you rather do a test or a quiz? And they're both exactly the same. It's just they're positioned differently. So are we using language to make us stop in that emotion, and keep coming back to the narrative, which is what makes us stuck? Or can we move forward? Can we use fun language? Can we play with that language to reframe? And then I is for imagination. Is quite often the thing that makes us see something in the same way is what we believe to be true in our thought process, rather than is there another way to think about it, and the art of possibility. And actually being playful with the idea is a really nice way to shift us out of reality. And it's not to say that then we come up with an answer, but shifting us out of that stuck place sometimes into the art of possible, or a playful way of looking at it can make us go, okay, well, what if? And that what if helps us to be more optimistic and see things differently. So we help people to understand some tools and techniques in that. And then finally, the P's for pattern breaking. Look, we'll get the same outcome if we continue to look at something in the same way in terms of our focus, talk about it in the same way, or think about it in the same way in terms of our imagination. If we break the pattern of one of those, or flip it, which is a really lovely tool to say to people, how do we flip this? It's a coaching tool, but also it's a tool for me to kind of pause, stop, and respond over react.
Oh, that made me think, actually, when you were saying about, that sort of switching of emotion. It did make me think about, this is obviously a very simplified version of this, but have you ever been in an argument with, like, say, your partner or something like that, and then one of you accidentally says something that is actually really quite funny, and then you have this moment where one of you's laughing, but maybe if the other one of you's really, really upset, you kind of want to laugh, and you're then all trying to decide, do we both just start laughing now and move on from this, or do I stay angry with you?
Right. It's like we can choose to hold that rage or not, can't we? And you cannot laugh and be angry at the same time. They're two conflicting emotions. And I'm not saying that anger isn't the right emotion for certain situations, but is it helping us to move forward out of what I need to do now? So, yeah, nothing better than when someone makes a mistake. See, because I'm dyslexic, if we're in an argument, I'll often get a word wrong. It really pisses me off. Because then my husband corrects me in the middle of the argument. And what I've said is something completely different to what I mean.
I think that's quite interesting, Shelley. We were talking at work the other day about offence and whether that's a choice or not. Because you can choose not to be offended, can't you? So we were talking about ways of, when someone's maybe saying something abrupt at work or whatever, you can then just choose, actually, I'm going to reframe that, and I'm not going to be offended by that. So I'll keep the communication channels open with them by not taking offense. So I suppose there's a little bit of flip in that, isn't there? It's just about reframing how you want to take that, I guess. Whereas, humor is one way, but also it's a bit of a choice as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think intent has a big part to play. Intent doesn't always negate impact, but if the intent wasn't there, can we have a discussion rather than taking offense and then educate? Because gosh, there's too many wars and challenges in the world. Let's come together using laughter rather than using it as a divide.
I mean, is it ever healthy to take offense? I mean, does it actually do anyone any good? Yeah, we were just discussing that the other day, sort of when, you're chatting and people get upset and so on. And sometimes it just puts a big block in the way, doesn't it? So there's a lot of choices we can make, isn't there, about language and how we accept it and, how we kind of communicate with each other. But I think that flip is a really good technique. I might start trying that out, see how we get on. Probably get sacked, but I'll give it.
How can we
should have caveats? Yeah.
Like, how can you stop being an arsehole?
We're all surprised you haven't been sacked years ago. So, hanging on in there.
I'm just one event off being cancelled these days, I think.
Yeah, we've all got really grown-up jobs, and we probably shouldn't.
I think that's the other thing, cancelled as well. What about if you just choose not to be cancelled? Can that work?
That's what Jimmy Parr says, isn't it? He's
right. Okay. Yeah.
He talks about constantly that he's trying to get cancelled to the point of that he doesn't believe in it type thing. So he talks about that all the time.
Yeah, because I think we're sort of overcoming it because if you just again refuse.
Yeah. And Ricky Gervais as well. He talks about it a lot. He's very intelligent when he explains offense and humor. It's easy. He's got a brilliant take on it.
Yeah, and I think if you discuss those things in a critical way and look at all sides, then there's no reason why you can't talk about anything, is there really? If you kind of understand the subject and, like you say, the intent, isn't it? It's always about the intent. But sometimes that's quite hard to prove as well, isn't it?
And it doesn't negate impact. So it's about those balances, those things.
Because I find always the get out for that is you can always prefix it, as Boris Johnson used to do with "that wasn't my intention."
Yeah, I don't think Boris is really the level of morality that we should aim for.
No, but it does seem to be, if someone prefixes with something that wasn't my intention, that's they sometimes feel that negates everything, don't they? So it's linguistics, isn't it? But it's interesting, isn't it? So let's all flip.
I don't know if that's quite getting the point.
No.
She needs to read the book again, I think.
I think so. But it has been said by a few people in the past. I think the last time I really heard it talked about was when there was a court case. Was it a Canadian comedian? And there was he was taken to court, and there was even talk of him potentially going to prison on the basis of a routine that he'd done.
Was that Jim Jeffries?
I'm not sure if it was Jim Jeffries or not. I can't remember who it was now. But it brought a lot of this discussion around what's all right to joke about and who gets to decide that. And actually, it's the thing, well, either everything is funny or nothing is, because nobody gets to make that decision. And then
At some point,
stuff it's about. Sorry.
At some point, someone is going to be offended. That at some point, because everybody's experience of life is different, and so everybody's got a different level of that. I think, we've got protected characteristics. I talked about this before, that absolutely is a no-go area and it's not that funny. But then you've got very clever comedians, way cleverer than me, who are so brilliant at putting together information in a very good way that makes you think, because then you laugh at something and then you go, shit, should I have laughed at that? And then they point out why you've laughed at it. And there's a philosophy there that is greater than the joke.
Yeah, sometimes it is. It's not like nervous laughter if someone has said something really shocking. It's just, it catches you out, I suppose, doesn't it?
Can do, certainly. Well, Steph, we've probably used up enough of your time for today. Thank you ever so much for joining us. If people want to find out more about Laughology, the website is laughology.com, is that right?
.co.uk. So laughology.co.uk. And please go on. We've got loads of free webinars. Once a month we do something that's a freebie. People can join, share it with your teams, and they always get full, so do join early.
I might share it with my work.
Please do.
Thoroughly recommend it.
Turning up.
Very interesting and a very different way of looking at these things. I first came across Laughology actually through the CIPD podcast that you did a few months ago.
Yeah.
And now it just seemed like an absolutely fascinating thing that you're doing there. So I really appreciate you taking some time out and coming and talking to us about it.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Take care.
You.
Bye.
Thanks, Steph. Bye for now.
Bye.
Well, thanks again to Steph for coming on the show today. What did we think of that, guys?
I really liked her.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, she's my kind of person. I think I could definitely just sit with her drinking a bottle of wine and have a laugh.
Well,
so
I
Steph,
think
that Shelley would like to go for a drink.
I think you'd want to work with someone like that. Sorry, Jim, just talking all over you there.
That's all right, I'm used to it.
Oh, okay, right.
No respect, is there? Like, I feel like we could actually perhaps do with her as like kind of like help us with our work relationships.
Yeah. Maybe, but everything's fine. Probably should introduce the flip process. What do we all think?
Yeah, the kind of flips we've been using at each other are not healthy.
But no, that's really good, isn't it? Really interesting. When you blocked or stuck at work, or communications broken down, or change management, to use humor to move on is interesting idea, isn't it? And actually, when you do hear people at work talking, people do laugh a lot, don't they, when they're talking and in meetings? I think that is a mechanism people use a lot, isn't it? So humor is a good tool. So yeah, maybe we should use it on this show occasionally.
Oh, I'm not sure if we're quite up to that, Stu, but we can give it a try.
I think we might need to have a team development day, like a team away day.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a
and
team
some
away
team
day.
building exercises.
We did do that. So, listening to our live podcast from the Queens.
Thanks, Stu. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up for this week. Thank you for listening. As ever, if you've enjoyed the show, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, do lots of sharing, tell everybody. Take some time out, go and check out Laughology. As Steph said, loads of good free stuff on there, but you do need to sign up early. So it's laughology.co.uk. We will be back with you next week when we are celebrating 6 months of Everything's Fine, probably. Yes,
Wow.
can you believe that we've been doing this for 6 months and we still haven't taken the hint?
We're persistent. You got to give us that.
Stubborn.
Yeah.
Stubborn, tenacious,
and clearly have
Delusional.
nothing better to do with our time.
bloody-minded. all those things.
All of those things and more. So join us.
I think we should dress up. I've just talked over Jim again, as we do, which I've been doing for the last 6 months, which I know he enjoys very much. So I think we should all, dress up in our finest next week, get some party poppers out, get the cheap cider and maybe some vol au vents. Don't know about you.
I actually really like a vol au vent.
Yeah, I do. Don't get them anymore, do you?
I'm going to try and get some.
I like the prawn ones. Prawn ones you get at Christmas. Or a bit egg, delicious. So vol au vents and cheap cider next week.
You
You're
can make
welcome.
it yourself. Sorry. And follow us for more recipes. Sorry, Jim's going to kill us in a minute.
Beauty finished now. You realize nobody's listening by now, don't you? And I don't blame them. If anybody is still listening, let me take this opportunity to say thanks for listening. And, if I can put up with this and still be cheerful, then clearly things can't be that bad, can they? Join us next week to celebrate 6 months. Everything's fine.